Driving in the UK as an American. So I started driving when I was a teenager. I'm now in my 30s. I moved to the UK over 4 years ago, and for 3 of those years I've been driving in the UK. Now there were definitely some differences I had to get used to. The tightness of the roads can be a shock to Americans, as seen in the film The Holiday, when Cameron Diaz tries to drive up the road. Roads in the UK can be very tight, and sometimes it is crazy how tight two-way roads can be in the UK. My least favorite are roads lined with terraced houses that only have on-street parking. So you've got a two-way road with parked cars on both sides and barely enough space for one car to fit through. Obviously, I've gotten very used to it, but I remember I used to really tense up because I always felt like I was going to take out someone's mirror, hence all the foldable mirrors in the UK. Roundabouts also took a little bit of getting used to. Now, leading up to doing my UK driving test, I spent a lot of time learning roundabouts, figuring out how they worked, figuring out when to signal, what lane to be in, so on and so forth. But it was quite a learning curve from the US, where roundabouts are rare and there's not much regulation to them. This also brings up an obvious one, the driving test. The driving test in the UK is much harder than the driving test in the US, not just in the practical driving test, but also in the theory test, otherwise called the written exam. I was very fortunate that I passed my driving test on the first go, and by some miracle I have managed to go my entire life without ever being in a car accident, which is a trend I hope to keep. Something I get asked about a lot, both by Americans back in the US and by people in the UK, is whether or not I find it strange driving on the left side of the road while sitting in the right side of the car. I really don't. To be honest, that was one of the easiest things for me to get used to. It took me maybe about 5 minutes until it all just kind of made sense. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed or what it is, but driving on the left side of the road came pretty easy to me. So overall, I find that driving in the UK is harder than driving in the States. The roads are much tighter than they are in the States, and there's a lot more rules than there are in the States. However, I would say that roads in the UK are safer, drivers tend to be more polite, and people on the roads have a more collective mindset than Americans. It's interesting.